Hey, FlimsyLunchTray here, and welcome to World of Warships for the continuation of our Veteran Player Guide series, where we're going to be doing a battle thought process with a Tier 10 battleship today. So, the first thing that's always really important, as I have it paused on the screen, is regardless of what class of ship you're in, always study the team lineup, especially the enemy team lineup. So, as a quick example, you can see here we have 2 submarines on enemy team, as well as 2 enemy shimikazes and a Hornet. So we're going to be maybe at a bit of a spotting disadvantage, so to speak, or effectively 5 ships that we possibly won't be able to shoot at this game, kind of limiting our surface targets, if you will. Now I decided to go with this older video that I have with Wisconsin. I've been sitting on it for a while because I felt like it fit this series quite well. I've had some questions in the FLT Discord regarding kind of more specificities or the specifics of certain ship classes. And the goal of this battle thought process that we've done with the destroyer, shimikaze, cruiser, I think was the Salem, and now here with the Tier 10 Wisconsin, is to kind of give you a general thought process in playing said ship class. So I'm going to be covering things in general in the Veteran Player Guide series, since when it comes to the positioning with not so much like, oh, this is how I would play Kremlin a little different here, or I would be playing a brawling battleship differently here, this, that, and the other. So I try to pick a ship that, well, besides it being very busted in terms of the dispersion, you know, Wisconsin you could akin to something perhaps like the Montana, the Conqueror, the Iowa, North Carolinas. This Wisconsin's a mid-range battleship, but she can play long-range, and I say mid-range. At high tier in the game is 12 to 15 kilometers, and our concealment is, if I can see it on the map, right, it's 12.9. Yeah, I think it's technically like 12.87. So I just want to show you how this battle goes. This isn't going to be, it's not insanely in terms of the damage that we score, but more of the choices we make in this battle. And one of the things that is really missed on from a lot of battleship players in the game is tanking for your team. I see a lot of players who just don't like to tank in their battleships. They'd rather play their GKs up on the BC line, and that's where they remain for the most of the game until their team is basically dead, and then they decide to push in when they don't have any teammates, right? A typical syndrome among battleship players. So we're going to get to a point later in this game that you're going to see us tank actually a lot of damage, but we're also going to make our presence known with our 9 406s as we get 18k there. We decide to go ahead and push out just to start off here, because the GK and the Kearsarge were pretty much nosing right in. I don't feel comfortable to push up yet. You can see on the mini map, it's just going to be really important in terms of you making decisions as a battleship player. Our team is really coming heavy here on the A flank, which means we're ultimately going to have to push to the A flank if we want any chance to win here. Another 18k salvo. We're going to use the funny button that we get in Wisconsin. So it's almost a typical battleship, right? So we just give ourselves a faster reload, faster cooldown time on our consumables as well, but that wasn't really needed at this moment. But I wanted to get the Kearsarge dead before he ended up sailing away and going dark. So yes, there's a broadside GK we could have shot there as well, but it's important to finish off low health targets. There's nothing more annoying than bringing down, like, let's say you're a destroyer, you bring down an enemy cruiser to 2-3k hit points. Battleship player behind you instead shoots the full health GK. Rather than finishing off the cruiser, then the cruiser pops off a heal and goes dark. So that's one of the things, in terms of a veteran player, if you want to secure wins for your teams, you have to, even though maybe you'd only got 2-3k damage if you kill said cruiser, you have to take those shots if you want to secure the win and help your team out. So make sure that you focus low health targets, and especially ships that are like destroyers. You're going to see a really good example of us going for a destroyer, and I'll talk more about that when the time comes. So, seeing how we're so strong here on this flank, wait, why did all the battleships come to this flank? This is probably one of my biggest pet peeves about battleship players in the game. Not all battleship players who do this. Battleship players who refuse to play their flank. You automatically give up map control. Okay, look at the mini map. What is our map control? Well, the enemy team hasn't pushed down past C into our spawn yet, but our map control basically consists of the bottom left quarter of this map. So we have like maybe 25% map control at this point, right? If you're a battleship and you spawn on the C flank, the far C flank, support the far C flank. A lot of players wrestle, even cruiser players, wrestle with herd mentality. I can't play this position alone. I need to be with all the other ships. So it's this herd mentality where you just follow your team around. And when I recognize that, I'm like, wait, why did all the battleship players literally come over to this flank? So this puts pressure on us that we have to lead the way. So there are going to be some times, as an example, as a battleship player, you're going to have to take the charge for your team, right? So that's my goal, what I'm doing here. Our team's still sailing into the one line. I'm the only battleship of 5 battleships right now that's not sailing towards the one line, right? It's crazy. The other thing that happens when you give up this map control like our team has, you can see our CV doesn't even feel comfortable. He has to go down to J1 because he doesn't feel like he can stay over because we don't have map control, right? So we have to push through and win A. You've probably seen this time and time again as a battleship player in the game, where your team gives up map control, your battleships abandon flanks, and then just end up staying on the back line. So part of when I reference herd mentality is like, you know, if we help show the way, right? If I push up, that will quote unquote inspire confidence among my other battleship teammates or cruiser teammates to push with me. So that means, yes, I might tank a bit of damage for this. I might lose some hit points. As a battleship player, you shouldn't be afraid to lose your hit points. Sometimes you have to be willing to trade your hit points to make plays in the games. And I don't think there's a good number of battleship players who don't understand that concept. You have your hit points for a reason. Like we have 81,100 hit points. So we're going to use our hit points for the betterment of our team, right? So our Shimakaze player has been really helpful. I think he killed a submarine player. No, it's both submarine players are still alive. I think it was the Shimakaze player earlier he killed. I was really conscious of those torps, so I slowed down, and we almost got really punished here by the GK being broadside to him. And our Shimakaze player is doing great. He's like going for the submarine, which is exactly what he should be doing here. So we're going to continue pushing forward. We've lost our Prinz Ruprecht to the Slava, another sniper battleship. And I see the Hornet. If we can get rid of the Hornet, that would be nice because he won't have as much spotting on us, so to speak. It'll be more down to the destroyer and the submarines on the enemy team to provide that. And because our flank has collapsed, right, I want to put this big island, this big rock between me and the enemy team that's swinging down around from C to B. So it was actually, if I didn't push up, it was more dangerous for me to stay in the back as we lose our U4501 and our Gascon. It's more dangerous if I stay in the back at this point because of us losing map control. We've lost the flank, right? So it's much better for me to move up here where I had this solid cover to my right. And now you can see even our friendly CV is pushing up the one line because he's like, I don't feel safe anywhere. And we're trying to get rid of the sub, which is helpful having the range on these depth charge airstrike, which double check that. 11 kilometers, so that's great. Low hit point in GK. We need to focus on the GK. I'm still going to blind fire with the rear third turret because we need to get rid of him. One of the struggles that we would have right now if we didn't kill the GK and he got away and healed is he's up on our left side. So if we try to wrap the island and push towards B as an example, we're broadside to a GK. So he has to go. When you're trying to reassert map control, you don't want those pesky ships that maybe, as an example, this map would stay up on the B2, B3 area, or even the C line, right? Because you can't push in. So I just asked in the chat, do we know where our Shimakaze is? Our CV has spotted him. The enemy team has lost their CV, which is great. So I'm going to reverse. I'm going to try to give a helping hand here on the enemy Shimakaze. Enemy Shimakaze is a big threat. He's tying up our battleships too, in the sense that, 15 hard-hitting torpedoes, that really sucks to deal with. You saw a ping just go across the map there. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead, and I could be shooting the broadside. I think it's Amalfi up on the B line, but it's more important that I shoot at Shimakaze, even if the Shimakaze is no longer spotted here. So we're going to do some blind firing, and we get the kill. He took a couple more hits, I think, from the other enemy Shimakaze just right as before we landed one of our shells on him. That's great. Now, Slava here is, I think he's already looking at us. I don't have a prior target. I can see his main battery. It's like, no, I'm not dumb enough to reverse full broadside out from behind an island. Not a noob. So we're going to push further up. Now, I ask our sub, I'm a little flustered with him because the game is still winnable in my opinion. If you just stop running around up on the B9, like why are you as a submarine even that far up on the B9 line when you don't have any threats to you? There's no one pursuing him right now, right? So it's just really like, I hate submarines in the game. So anyhow, so we're gonna go out and push. We have our F key ready. I didn't explain the F key, but basically we get a negative 50% in our main battery reload time and a negative 80% in our consumable preparation reload time. So that's going to be really clutch. This isn't even among the most gimmicky ships in the game. There's a lot more ships in the game that have a lot more gimmicks, right? And the F key actually ends up saving us this battle, so we do take advantage of that. So you'll see it when the time comes. We weren't ready for the Amalfi. We didn't think he'd be quite that far back up or towards the left. So I wasn't ready to punish his broadside. I was a little more curious to see what was happening back at B and south of B. And he goes broadside again, and I'm like, there's nothing wrong with us going to go ahead and trying to use our F key to get that reload time. Now we're not getting any consumables off of cooldown faster. So right now it's been a bad trade for the F key so far, only 2,700 damage. And I'm more concerned to seem like angling to the Amalfi when I really need to be angling more away from the ships at Bravo. So I'm getting punished for that decision now, but I also wanted to be bowing because I know Amalfi has torpedoes. So we got lucky there in both ways. We were showing too much broadside to the ships at B. Slava is sitting back there punishing us. Amalfi with the sap brings us pretty close to death here. And I'm debating, do I take the shot? Do I take the shot? And I decide, yeah, I think I can take the shot, even though I'm low on hit points right now. I think if I do get hit again, it won't be enough to kill me, because I didn't just run right out and away, but I even turned back further even more, maybe to try to catch, I guess it's the enemy Wisconsin off guard. Excuse me for saying that. We've killed all throttle too, and we're at 2.5 million potential damage. So I really need my friendly battleship player to get over here. So they still think I'm sailing forward, but I just cut my throttle. That's all I did. That's a big thing. If we had just kept sailing, we would have totally probably died there. But it's the confidence in... I would say that shot I took at the Amalfi there at the end, I would say probably in general for most players, maybe don't, unless you actually feel confident that you can juke and get away with it. Otherwise, it was a really dangerous call, but I wanted to punish Amalfi and get him as low as possible to see if we couldn't get him killed. Now we still have the enemy submarine behind us, which sucks. So that's putting pressure on us. Our Shimakaze has reasserted map control in the sense that he's moved back down beneath B, so the enemy team can't just keep chasing us around. So he's like a really good Shimakaze player. He really helped us out this game. Our submarine is still scratching his head. He's capping. Let's see if he actually does get the cap or not. We get spotted because of the Hindenburg being within our detectability range, so I'm going to turn out again. because I'm pretty sure you see how much health the Wisconsin has back there. He seems to be playing a very passive sniper role, if you will. Now, our Shimakaze and our CV are putting pressure on him, so it's going to kind of prevent him from just being idle back there, if you will. The other thing that's really helpful on Wisconsin is that we're able to beef up our damage control party time. So we have a 30.8 second action time on our DCP. So that's very helpful to put out the fires and whatnot. Here I'm trying to get more shells landed so I can access my funny button again to have a faster cooldown time on my damage control party. You can see there's the Wisconsin taking a shot at us. We're going to start accelerating here. You know, we don't have the propulsion mod. Our CV, our submarine does finally take C. He does kill the Amalfi, which is pretty great. But like it just took him a really long time. We activate the funny button, and we're using the funny button just to get our damage control party off cooldown. And we're going to do that. And we're just going to go dark now. So we're not going to push up further. This is going to be really close. I look away. Ooh, really close, really close. So now we're at 2.8 million potential damage. Take another big salvo there at 2.9 million potential damage. Now, what do you do as a low health battleship and you don't have any heals and not available, and possibly your existence is very important to the team? A, you stay dark. B, use a smoke. C, use an island. So we're going to use an island here to get more shots off on an enemy team, because now they're kind of choked up at Bravo, as we still have to deal with the submarine. Now the enemy sub is actually, if the sub he was surfaced right now, we would be spotted, and I would be in much more danger here. But the sub seems to be very scared, so to speak, if you will. So we're able to get away with some salvos for now. We will have another heal shortly, but we're not going to be able to heal much back even anyhow if it comes up. The other thing I was going to say earlier about us killing the enemy Shimakaze is that it's annoying to me also when you have battleship players ignore low health destroyers. Like if they think only one of their 9 shells, as an example, will land, they like, well, I won't get a lot of damage. I want more damage. But they don't understand that the percentage, it depends on the percentage of hit points you do to said ship. So like I can play a tier 7 destroyer in operations, and I can score top of the team in terms of base XP just because I'm focusing the enemy destroyers and I'm killing most enemy destroyers, right? Just because you do less damage doesn't mean you're not rewarded, right? If you do get 2 or 3 shells landed on a Shimakaze, take 3 or 4k hit points, right? Then actually that's almost as if you did that same amount of damage on a percentage ratio basis on like a cruiser or a battleship, as an example. So you should take the shots on low health destroyers because, you know, like a Shimakaze, we don't want a Shimakaze to get away and then like have to deal with him more later, right? It's too much of a threat. Your biggest threat, like in Wisconsin, as I got completely juked there, is submarines. It is just destroyers like the Shimakaze, right? So we would be ignorant to avoid shooting a low health DD and helping our team get the kill there. I think I said at the beginning of this video, like it's not a high damage game, but I actually forgot it was. I thought I did like 140, but it is a high damage game. It's 180 so far. And there's the sub, so it's just down to him. So if we, as an example in this battle, if we had stayed back down in that bottom left corner of the map and not kind of led the charge out, we probably definitely would have lost here. We had to inspire our teammates to push. We had to get up to the island in A to give us some cover from the enemy team that was wrapping around our flank. And if you want to be a really good battleship player in World of Warships, you need to understand your positioning. You need to not be abandoning your flanks. You need to finish off low health targets. You need to tank for your team. You need to be willing to exchange some of your hit points to make some plays rather than being like in the back of the map. So there's just like some things that come off to the top of my head. But as I've talked about even before the battle starts, like knowing your ship really well, because we knew our Wisconsin really well with the F key, we were able to get away with a lot. we were able to be very cheeky at the end that we didn't die, even though we got pretty close twice to dying. But we got the Dreadnought, we got the Kraken Unleashed, we did 189,000 damage. So we knew our ship really well, what we should and shouldn't be doing. Shout out to the Shimakaze and the Saipan who did really good this game. So it's knowing your ship, but then it's also understanding the enemy team lineup, and how are you going to play dependent on those factors, right? There's nothing more frustrating, you know, as a Battleship player when there's 2 submarines on your team, and then there's 4 destroyers, and then there's a CV, right? So right there, you have 7 ships that you may not be regularly have access to shoot at, and then you have cruisers, right, that are have a higher concealment, right? So there's kind of less going around, so you don't expect high damage in those games because there's less hit points on the board, right? So then it becomes even more important to take out the subs or the destroyers, given the opportunity if you as a battleship are able to shoot them or land your depth charge airstrikes on them. So this is kind of a general thought process in terms of maybe more playing at a veteran player level here in the game with a ship like the Wisconsin. I mean, yes, Wisconsin's special, but I would have played, in this battle, I would have played Montana the same way, I would have played Conqueror the same way, I would have played Lian, Kremlin, Slava, Iowa. There's a lot of battleships that play really good at the mid-range. Even I would have played, even long-range, I would have played very similar to this battle because of what I was seeing happening on the mini-map, how the enemy team was positioning, how our team was positioning, right? So that's the hope of kind of landing this. It's not like some ship that has a lot of gimmicks, besides the F key that we have on this, but just in terms of, it's not like this brawling ship with torpedoes that you go YOLOing in with, or this battleship that has radar and it has hydro and it has an engine boost. It does all these like crazy things. Like Wisconsin is kind of more of a temper battleship with this really accurate 406s. Like that's really all Wisconsin is. So I hope you liked today's video. I didn't get time to do like an actual ship Friday highlight, or if we're gonna not even upgrade commander build video tomorrow, because I'm grinding or regrinding the Italian DD line that I have 4x research bureau points stacked on right now, and I want to pick up the hull. So the goal is either next Friday, Saturday, I will feature the hull. Yeah, I'll probably feature the hull next Friday, Saturday, then the Friday, Saturday after that, I'll feature probably Devastation. Have Devastation now, and I quite like it so far. So with that being said, if you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, give a thumbs down. Subscribe if you do want to see more. If you have already subscribed, thanks so much. I appreciate it. Thank you to my Patreon supporters. Until next time, take care.